If I wasn't grinding in the bando, I'd probably be in the woods like these folks. But right now, we gonna cover their tail in the next trap recap. Yeah, she's ready for a good licking. So the movie begins with this couple, Trinity and Lil Red, Big Red, their friend, Jack and Jill, and the homie Pork Chop. And they're having a little getaway in the forest, and they're trying to meet up with their two friends. Lil Red and Trinity are all in love. Pork Chop lets Big Red hit the gas. She's like, yo, this is way too strong for me. That must be that medical. And she's like, Lil Red's like, yeah, it's cool, it's cool. And he's like, damn right. So they're around the fire and they're telling camp stories. They're, regaling each other in memories that they've had together. And then she's like, yo, you ready to stroke? And he's like, yes, ma'am. And then Lil Red's like, I'm ready for a midnight snack. So they go off to the tent. And then it cuts to their friends who are on the other side of the woods. And they're feeling a little frisky and about to get risky. So she get on top and get to it. And then she wants some air. So she bends over and puts her head out the tent, only to run into whatever that is. And it goes to grab her, pushes him back, takes her out, and then comes in the tent to finish the job up. Yikes. It's not the worst way to go out. Cut to the morning and Pork Chop's like, did you pee on me? And she's like, you wish. He's like, yeah, I don't know if I wish. Maybe I do. I don't know. So everybody turns to social media even though they in the middle of nowhere. Then they decide it's time to pack up and get on the trail so they can meet up with their two friends. They head out. They go on a little hike and everybody's having a good time. They set up again and then they're going to take a break. And there's Lil Red and Trinity just talking, and then Jill says she wants to take a dip in the river. The forest ranger shows up, and then Pork Chop's like, oh shit, I got this weed on me and I don't got my red card. And then she's like, yeah, we're just here, we have a reservation. And he's like, all right, bet, I'm out. So then they start laughing and joking. He's like, yo, one for the spank bank, and I'm about to make a deposit right now. And he starts to, start dreaming, and he ends up getting hemmed up. So it's another night around the campfire, and they having fun till Big Red just passes out. So Lil Red and Trinity are like, yo, we should take her to bed. Help me get this big bitch up. So they get her out there, and then Jack's like, yo, it's time to give you the jackhammer again. So they are off to the tent as well. The ladies come back and they're chilling with Pork Chop, and he's like, yo, we need to go on that truth or dare real quick. And so they choose dare, and he's like, yo, y'all need to go to third base right in front of me. And so even though he turned it up to 11, they're like, you know what, let's just do it. So they get to it and show him what lips do, having a good time. He's getting excited, and he's like, yeah, let's go off to the tent. Menage. And they're like, you know what, even though you butt naked, thanks for getting the party started, but you on your own. And he's like, yo, what am I supposed to do with this monster in my pants? He's like, fuck it, I'm out. So he's hitting the L and trying to handle his business when he hears some weird stuff, and he's like, you know what, I'm out. And then the ladies are doing ladylike things, and she's like, I gotta pee. So she steps out, and while she's doing the deed, she ends up stepping up and running right into the bad guy who chokes her up, and drops her down. So Jack and Jill getting busy, she having a great time, but she gets pulled out. And then Pork Chop runs into unconscious Trinity and calls Lil Red out, and she comes to help. It's just crazy. Big Red wakes up only to get throat ripped. That sucks. And then Jack did get a stab in on the thing, but lost his piece in the process. So Pork Chop and the ladies run off, and he's like, yo, we about to die. It's game over, man. And Trinity's like, I don't know if I can make it, but they tourniquet her up, stop all the bleeding from the necky. And then he's like, yo, we got to make moves right now. We have no options. Let's get out of here. Audi 5Gs. So they get up and start going back to the tent because they need to find the keys. And Lil Red is trying to be there for Trinity. And he's like, yo, this situation is all messed up. And they find Jack. They find Jill, they find Big Red, And he's like, yo, they took all the genitals and stuff, man. This is weird. So they go back to the whip and they grab the bow and arrow. She knocks over Pork Chops to take a shot at whatever. And then next thing you know, Pork Chop tries to be a hero and turns into a zero. And Lil Red runs off. And he gets some stuff ripped out. And she goes back to the car to try to start it. But she can't get it to start. So she goes back and Pork Chop's like, yo, I'm going out like a G. Stay lit. High all the time. And then they run back into the woods. And unfortunately, Trinity has been deleted from the Matrix. So now it's on Little Red. She's trying to grieve, but she knows she need to leave with no reprieve. So she gets up and she, scouts around and tries to find a good vantage point. She pulls out her tools. She's about to go MacGyver. She's trying to be Fix-It Felix, dealing with Wreck-It Ralph. So she sets up some little fires as a distraction. And then for some reason, after saying a prayer, she goes out in the middle of a clearing. And then before she does, she makes sure to take a couple of things with her. But yeah, so she goes out with her little pokey, hit him with the pointy end, and then she lights the flare like she thinks she's in a new music video. And she looking around, and then she's like, what are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for? You want this? I'm gonna stick you. And then she's still looking around and ends up running into his signature move, which is the choke. And she gets a little pick on him and runs away back to the vantage point. And now she's ready to shoot them darts real quick, you feel me? So she did hurt herself and knows she can't run further. So she ends up taking her shot now. She grabs the bow and arrow. She thinks to herself, you can do this, girl power. I'm an independent woman. So she gets up against the tree. She draws down and she catches him once. And with her last shot, she prays to God that it hits home. She's like, I'm going to show you what Cupid do. She lights it and lets loose. And he gets it blown up like the 4th of July. And next thing you know, she wakes up and when the sun's out, she's a little confused. She got a little bit of blood trickle, but she's all right for the most part. So she finds herself getting up, and then her inner monologue starts like this. Well, it was a bad night, and you were probably wondering how I got here, but just know that I'm a survivor, and I will survive. This was for you, Trinity. Love you, girl. And then she walks off into the woods, never to be seen again. And that's the whole entire movie, believe it or not. Sub it up.